Good morning. I am the Reverend Denise Gouch. My pronouns are she, her, and as your assistant minister, it is my pleasure to welcome you to worship with the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Nashville. Today's service was created by and will be led by a group of congregants representing our social justice, beloved community, and larger faith committees. As Unitarian Universalists, our spiritual paths vary, but in this congregation we have made a covenant together. We affirm our interdependence, celebrate our differences, and work for justice. We are a welcoming congregation, and we deepen our relationships as we serve our congregation's mission to create community, nurture spiritual growth, and act on our values in the broader world, guided by reason and compassion. I'd like to extend a special welcome to visitors worshiping with us this morning. If you're seeking a spiritual home, we hope that you may find it here. If you have questions about our congregation, I would love for you to contact me. You can find my email address in the staff directory under Contact Us on our website, and I look forward to hearing from you. If you are joining us for the live broadcast of this service on Webinar Jam, won't you please say hello in the chat? We really like knowing that you're with us. No matter what platform you're using to join us, you can find helpful resources such as the order of service, ways to give, and access to the social hour following the service in the worship portal on our website, firstuunash.org. We are so glad you decided to join worship this morning.
Good morning. My name is Elaine Bailey Freed, and I am co-chair of the worship committee, and I am filling in for our Director of Music Ministries, Jay Tiefenbrunn, who is on vacation this week. Our first hymn is Building a New Way. Please join Karina Daza in singing this song of determination and hope as we begin the new year.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, this world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way.
Greetings. My name is Cindy Wood. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a member of the Beloved Community Committee. The words for today's call to worship were written by Reverend Christian Schmidt, who is the senior co-minister, along with his wife, Reverend Kristen Grassel Schmidt, of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Berkeley. Let us wake up, not just from the Sunday morning exhaustion, from the wish for a few more drowsy minutes in bed. Let us wake up to this world we live in, to its beauty and wonder, and also to its tragedy and pain. We must wake up to this reality, that not all in our world have what we do, however much or how little that is. We must wake up to the idea that our wholeness, our lives, are only as complete as the lives of those around us, of those we are inextricably tied to in a great web of mutuality, of which all of us are part. We must stay woke, in the words of our friends and colleagues involved in Black Lives Matter, working every day for racial justice in our country. Let us wake up. Let us stay awake. Let us stay woke. And now, in this time and place, let us worship together. Wake up as we light our flame. Wake up and join us in this space of worship with open hearts. Wake up in welcoming everyone to our table.
Once upon a time, there were two faith traditions, the Unitarians and the Universalists. Both had been around for hundreds of years. Each understood the importance of adapting to change so that they could continue to thrive. And they talked about getting together to become one stronger faith tradition together. They talked about this for decades. Some members were unsure about the move and about adjusting to those changes. The Unitarians and the Universalists got together year after year and said, our values are in alignment and each of us is going to be better with the other one. But then they didn't make any changes. So finally, in the 1950s, about 60 years after they started talking about merging in earnest, the youth of each organization said, we're really ready to start our new lives with our new church, and we are getting on with it already. And the youth voted, and they merged. The youth were the leaders of the faith, calling others into action with them. 10 years later, the rest of the association finally merged as well. And that was in 1961. Over the next 60 years, the Unitarian Universalist Church has changed in many ways, including different changes to the principles along the way, the principles that embody our values and help guide us in our faith. Paula Cole Jones, Director of Racial and Social Justice in her region of the UUA, began to talk with BIPOC people about their needs in our faith. BIPOC is an abbreviation standing for Black, Indigenous, people of color. She talked with BIPOC folks about creating a new principle that addresses the needs of BIPOC specifically. Over the course of the last 4 years since she asked the UUA to incorporate the 8th principle into our official bylaws nationwide, we've been learning more and more about why that is important. Culminating in national events this summer, such as the deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, among many, many other BIPOC lives needlessly lost. As a country, we've been sort of lifting up the rug to see what's been stuck underneath there since the civil rights movement. And we found a pretty big lump under the rug. Even in Unitarian Universalism, we've not addressed the lump under the rug very well. In the last 60 years, we've tried several times to put our faith into action with regard to ensuring that BIPOC have a place and a voice in our faith. There have been lots of stops and starts with regard to our commitment to this process as a faith. Which brings us to our principles. We are a part of an association of congregations, or the UUA. We currently have 7 principles to which the member congregations have agreed. It's been several years now since Paula Cole Jones and friends asked that the 8th principle be adopted. It is one that specifically says that we as a church do intentional and continual work to ensure that racism continues to be broken down. Lots of churches in the Association of Congregations like ours have decided to make BIPOC folks a priority and have adopted the 8th principle. Recently, our country had an election. Each person, each town, each state voted for our new president. Well, our congregation is soon to have a vote too. Our church, like many, many other churches across the country, has decided to put it to a vote here at home for 2 reasons. First, because it's important to us to make sure that every person feels like a full and participating member. Second, holding this vote shows all of the other churches in the association that they don't have to wait to hold ourselves accountable to stopping racism. They too can start right now. We can be the leaders. What does that look like for us? Well, we already have our Black Lives Matter banner, and it is important for us to show our church community and our city community that we care about Black lives. But it's more than a banner. It includes things like intentionally checking in when we gather to make sure we've included all marginalized perspectives, or people who have felt left out, people who have been left out. It's about choosing BIPOC speakers when we can. It's starting conversations such as, what does our church want to do about reparations, and which relationships might need that kind of repairing? It's about doing lots of things we haven't even imagined yet. When we do the work of the 8th principle, we are setting the table that has a place for everyone. And we're leaving seats open for people who haven't even discovered us yet. We want to make sure that everyone can look at that table and see that there is a place for themselves. Come and set the table for everyone with us. There is a place for you too.
Thank you, Jennifer. Your story reminds us that as a religious community, Unitarian Universalists have always been a people on the way, always moving and changing, and at our best, moving toward more love and more justice. To borrow words from the poet Theodore Rothke, we learn by going where to go. Honoring this commitment to learning, which is our historical heritage, let us now join our hearts in the spirit of prayer. Spirit of the love and justice that are inseparable, of the truth that simultaneously holds and challenges us always and everywhere. Be with us as we engage our minds, our hearts, our whole beings to better understand the values we claim and the ways in which we have failed to fully honor those values. In this new year, we look ahead to the change for which we hope and work to discern and plan for the ways in which we can begin to move from where we are to where we dream we might live, from the community we are now to the richer, more inclusive, altogether more fabulous community we could become. As we do the work of examining who we have been and determining who we want to become, may we hold each other in love so that in the midst of this gathered community, we each find the courage, strength, and determination to commit together to the work of building a world with more love, more justice, more hope. The world in which we want all the holy children born this winter to grow and thrive. Blessed be, Amen. May we be so. In this season of virtual offering bowls, we are especially grateful for the steady generosity which allows us both within and beyond the congregation to continue creating community, nurturing spiritual growth, and acting on our values. You may know that we share every Sunday's collection with an organization whose work outside our walls aligns with our values. Our Share the Plate for the month of January will go to our congregation's NOAH A-Team, the action team that coordinates our participation in NOAH, which is Nashville Organized for Action and Hope. NOAH is an interfaith, multiracial coalition of congregations and community organizations working to build a powerful social justice movement in Nashville. The worship portal on our website, firstuunash.org, contains more information about NOAH, as well as a link to our online donation form. In this brand new year, as always, your gift, like your presence among us, is received with gratitude.
Hi, I'm Mike Hodge, the Organizing Director for NOAH, Nashville Organized for Action and Hope. NOAH is an anti-racist, faith-based coalition. We're multiracial, multi-generational, and interfaith. We're made up of 62 congregations, community organizations, and labor unions. NOAH's purpose is to build the power of ordinary people to make a difference in issues that concern them. The National Gamaliel Network helped us get started, and they provide training and consulting for NOAH. Some members of First Unitarian Universalists have been to the Gamaliel 7-day training. By the way, this is the group that trained Barack Obama as a community organizer. First Unitarian Universalist is a founding member of NOAH and is one of the largest in terms of people being involved and financial support of NOAH. You may have heard us say that power comes from organizing people and organizing money. First UU has been a key part of both. NOAH is building the power to make change in Nashville. We start by listening to those in our member congregations and groups to find out what they care about. What do they want to act upon? Then our member groups vote on the issue areas that we should focus on. Our issues convention in June 2019 gave us 4 main issues: affordable housing, criminal justice, education, and economic equity. But we didn't just vote. We discussed, we debated, and even argued. First UU was there, of course, as we caucused to discuss our priorities. Task forces were formed with folks just like you, learning about the issues and organizing to make a difference with decision makers. Our current goals include incorporating restorative practice discipline in metro schools to help break the school to prison pipeline. Our schools need more resources to do this, so NOAA is pushing for more money for schools, both from Metro and from the state. We've won $45 million for affordable housing, and we're now fighting for a 10-year plan to increase affordable housing. We won $10 million in federal CARES Act funding for eviction relief from families affected by the COVID financial crisis. We're working to create a mental health crisis team that's separate from the police to deal with mental health incidents. And there's more. NOAA's making change in this city. But equally as important, NOAA's making a change in us as people. Sometimes we feel helpless in the face of big government and big business who seem to be in control. NOAA is helping us learn that we can be powerful, we can shape our own futures and the future of Nashville. We're learning that together we can have power. Thank you, First Unitarian Universalists, for being a key part of NOAA. Thank you to the First UU A-Team that keeps that powerful link between this church and NOAA. The A in A-Team stands for action, and you can join them in working for justice in Nashville. For more information, talk with members of the A-Team, which is part of the social justice team. For more information on NOAA, go to the NOAA website at www.noaatn.org. Thanks very much.
When will we find a way? John Lewis believes we can change the world every day. 2 steps forward, then don't turn back. Tear down each border of brown, white, and black. Imaginary walls won't hold us back. When will we live in peace? John Lewis believed we're one family in the beloved world. No more stalling, face up to the fact. We're here one calling to brown, white, and black. This won't wait for Jesus coming back. Find a way, get in good trouble. Find a way to the beloved world. Change the world today. We're one people and one love. Imaginary walls all fade away. We don't have to hate those we oppose. We'll take the road John Lewis chose. He was beaten, he was broken, but he rose. He showed what we're standing for. When will we see love in action? John Lewis believed love is found in every heart. Feel the power we now embrace. With every hour we redefine our age. We'll build a world where we all find a way. Find a way, get in good trouble. Find a way to the beloved world. Change the world today. We're one people and one love. John Lewis believed we can change the world. Find a way, the way of love. Find a way, faith, hope, and love. We still hear MLK, the greatest of these is love. John Lewis believed we can change the world. We all create the beloved world. Find a way.
Our reading this morning comes from Tyler Cole Jones. Tyler is a Southern-raised native of Roanoke, Virginia, and uses they and he pronouns. Tyler currently serves as the intern minister at the Mount Vernon Unitarian Church. They are the community lead of Spark and the communications co-chair for Drum. Many of you may remember Tyler as they attended Vanderbilt Divinity School and came to our congregation, some along the way. These are Tyler's words, and permissions are granted by Tyler and the UUA to use their words for our worship service this morning.
Deep in the shadow of night, down near the crossroads and cemetery gates, with bitter liquor and cigar smoke wafting, I greet you. Clad in white upon the floor before shrines, following the names of the ancestors being uttered, I greet you. You are the sacred and righteous rage of my people. Echoing throughout time from the lands of our elders, from the depths of the ocean, I hear you now. You call out to us in the swirling winds, and the clamoring of lightning, and the crashing of waves, and the flow of rivers, and the rustling of forests, and the clouds that move across the heavens, and the drumbeat of the earth. You are present in the cries of Black Lives Matter and no justice, no peace. You shimmer brightly in the flames of buildings crumbling to the ground as they are consumed in flame. In the calls for protests and direct action, in the stirring of pots, the laughter of children, and the tears and prayers of our guardians. You are Black rage. Holy and sacred, unbound and unapologetic. You swell in the hips and breasts, in the curves of cheekbones and nostrils, in the beats of the heart and pulsating thoughts, in exhaustion, in frustration, in numbness and mobilization, in life. And you name yourself as good. Holy and sacred Black rage. Be ever present in our struggle for liberation, in our work to be, to love, to exist. Guide our movements in all of their forms as we strive to be good ancestors, ensuring that our descendants might look upon our memory with favor. For you, for them, invite us to live without fear. Dear holy and sacred Black rage, give life to this valley of dry bones. Move like fire upon our spirits. Stir within us now and forevermore. Ashe, so be it, and amen.
It is time that all white UUs wake up from the reality of racism. In fact, it is past time. Our congregations say they value the inherent worth and dignity of every person, They say they agree to work for justice, equity, and compassion. But what about myself and people darker than me? Where is our worth? Where is our dignity? Do we ever get to know what justice looks like? Do we ever get to feel compassionate love? Sadly, I don't think so. At least not yet. For myself and BIPOC siblings of faith, it seems that we are journeying on a path that was never paved nor intended for us to journey, always having to explain ourselves, to educate others on our oppressions and our experiences, while also trying to get by, and in some cases, trying to survive in a nation filled with racist microaggressions and systematic violence. Over the years, we have been promised greatness, both by our nation and by our UU faith, and we have stood by and waited for decades, only to see few promises met, while countless others go unfulfilled and all but ignored. When needed, we have taken to the streets to demand and fight for our freedom, for our worth, and for our dignity, only to be met with more promises. Promises that you will do better. Promises that change is coming. Sadly, though, it seems that to make a promise is far too easy, and to make good on a promise seems far too hard. Yet here we are on this journey, wondering where we belong, if we belong at all, and if so, how we belong. Here we are, waiting for the promises made to be fulfilled. Here we are. And yes, many of us still call ourselves Unitarian, Universalist. In 2013, tired of waiting for change, and after working with congregations on issues of racism for over 15 years, a Black Unitarian Universalist woman by the name of Paula Cole Jones realized that a person could believe they are a good UU and follow the 7 principles without ever thinking about or dealing with racism and other oppressions and at a systematic level. Feeling the need for change, Paula Cole Jones met with others, and the 8th principle was drafted. This principle came from a feeling that something needed to be done to renew the commitment to this work, to hold ourselves accountable, and to fulfill the potential of our existing principles. The language crafted to achieve such accountable commitment reads as follows. We, the member congregations of the Unitarian Universalist Association, covenant to affirm and promote journeying towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. And my, do we have our work cut out for us to make sure that this is a reality and not just another broken promise made. For myself, as a queer UU person of color, and as someone who is actively pursuing a ministerial calling of my own, recently being granted aspirant status with the Unitarian Universalist Association. The proposed eighth principle speaks to me, not to say that the 7 other principles don't speak to me. However, this one especially does, as my identity and the identities of those like me are embedded, are tied up, and are explicitly centered within it. And it says something about who we are as a faith community now and who we wish to be as a faith community moving forward. To recognize as a faith community that we must journey towards spiritual wholeness for all of us, not just for our predominantly white congregations, but all of us, is a significant first step towards healing the physical, emotional, and spiritual pain and suffering caused by racism for our BIPOC siblings of faith. Our commitment to build a diverse and multicultural beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism is something that we have been striving towards since the Civil Rights Movement and the life of MLK. But such a reality, such a diverse, multicultural, beloved community has not yet been realized. And white UUs are all guilty of racism and of benefiting from white privilege in some form or fashion. Such a privilege that only backs up what Paula Cole Jones realized, that a good white UU can go about their daily lives without ever really thinking about race or systems of ongoing racism if they wanted to. But in doing so, what fails to happen is the building of a diverse, multicultural, beloved community. In doing so, what fails is the accountable dismantlement of racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. If change, if seeing the reality of a fully imagined, beloved community where all people know they have inherent worth, inherent dignity, where they are fully deserving of compassion, and where they experience justice and equity in human relations is something we truly strive to achieve, then friends, we must work even harder to make it so. We must dismantle racism, homophobia, xenophobia, and all other forms of oppression in our communities, in our institutions, and in our society. To do so, we must start somewhere, and somewhere is passing the eighth principle and living it along with our 7 other principles as we do the work that must be done for our dreams to become a reality and for our long overdue promises to be made good on. Friends, there is work to be done. Let us make it so. Blessed be, and amen.
Our closing hymn is the beautiful meditative song, We Begin Again in Love, with Jay Holling and spoken word with Reverend Diane. Let us sing our resolution to forgive ourselves and each other and move forward to repair our world. May it be so. Please join us in singing We Begin Again in Love.
for remaining silent when a single voice would have made a difference.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time that our fears have made us rigid and inaccessible.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time we have struck out in anger without just cause.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time that our greed has blinded us to the needs of others.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For the selfishness that sets us apart and alone.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For falling short of the admonitions of the Spirit.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For losing sight of our unity.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For these and for so many acts, both evident and subtle, which have fueled the illusion of our separateness.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
The words to our chalice extinguishing were written by Elizabeth Sell Jones, and they can be found at the bottom of our order of service. Please join me. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Our benediction this morning comes in two parts. The first is an ending to my sermon and a call to action. The second is a reiteration of Tyler Cole's words. Are you awake now? Are you ready for change? Are you ready to vote for the eighth principle? I hope so, because the time is now. The time was yesterday and years ago. Friends, there is so much on the line. We have to be the faith that says enough is enough and vote yes. for the eighth principle and make it so in our lives. We must dismantle racism and homophobia and xenophobia and all oppressions if we are to truly be and build the beloved community. And in the words of Tyler Cole, holy and sacred black rage, be ever present in our struggle for liberation, in our work to be, to love, and to exist. Friends, this service is over, but may yours begin again, ever renewed and ever connected to Black Rage.